Welcome to another episode of TBI TMI with your host, Maria Dalbotten. Maria is a counselor who specializes in traumatic brain injuries. She is drinking mud right now. My name is Zach Smith. I am a certified public accountant. We both had traumatic brain injuries. And Maria is going to play with her hair for the next 45 minutes. So hopefully we get plenty of comments, positive comments, please, about how great she looks and she doesn't need to worry. But really, we're going to start off by talking about the effects of sleeplessness and your brain injury. Then we will talk a little bit about managing disappointment today. And then we have a call from a caller about dating, which we have gotten some feedback that we really want to kind of get into the nitty gritty of drinking mud and dating. So, hi, Maria. Nice to see you.
Hi, Zach. It is good to see you. Yes, I am one of the sleepless night people. Um, so that was disappointing. There's a combo of your two topics.
Yeah. Can you
How?
tell us a little bit about is this one night of sleep that you're missing, or is this several where it compounds and becomes exponentially more difficult to manage being awake?
Well, thank you for asking. Really, honestly, the summer as a parent, it's like such a fun and joyful time for like 3 minutes, and then it's also like 100 minutes, 100 million minutes of like driving people places and making sure people are where they need to be and having tons of visitors. And I love it. I love it so much. But I just can't like do it all. And I'm trying to. And it's very stimulating to me. And I kind of feel like I'm having miniature heart attacks.
No, that doesn't sound good or manageable at all.
Yeah. But I
And I'm guessing like talking to your 4-year-old about how you're getting fatigued and you need a break and stuff like that doesn't really fly.
yeah, I
Having
mean,
met your 4-year-old and spent wonderful time with him as he's peeing in a garden, I'll never
my
forget
child.
that. Yeah, not your child. I can't wait till he's like 25 and dating, and I get to bring that up in an embarrassing way. But yeah, I mean, my kids are older, and I don't have to do all of that stuff. So I'm guessing not sleeping is just awful.
I think part of it, and I read this a while ago, that like if you don't have time to think during your day, your brain, especially if you're an anxious or a person with a brain injury that kind of gravitates towards stress and negativity as like a protection, right? Like your brain is looking for the negative or the bad thing to protect you. So then you're doing all that thinking of like ways to keep yourself safe or whatever in the night because you're not doing it in the day.
Oh, really? Is there? Well, that sucks.
I mean, basically, what I should do is all the things I tell my clients to do.
Which is, can you
Like
give a rundown?
write it out, do a big brain dump, do it before bed. Really, as wah as it is, your sleep hygiene, your sleep routine. And like for me, there's so much good TV right now, but a lot of it is also stimulating. Even like the good stuff, it's like dramatic or whatever. And so, reading a book in my bed, especially if I'm in like a heightened state, instead of like, oh, I really want to watch a show and be a cool person and know what people are up to in the world, of Love Island or whatever other dramedy is out there. So yeah, writing it out and doing your sleep hygiene, like your tea, your magnesium, your reading in bed, and avoiding conflict or other things that might stir up. How was your
Yeah.
sleep?
The last couple of nights I've been like just around 8 hours, and it's been kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, I was meeting with some friends a few weeks ago, and we were talking about how each of us goes to sleep to a particular television show. And I feel like I can't remember what they were saying. I feel like one of them was going to bed with the old like Matlocks, and I
Mm.
go to bed to The Simpsons every night. And I sort of look at it as kind of like a lullaby. Like when I hear the sound of Homer Simpson, I fall asleep.
Oh my.
And my wife thinks it's insane. She's like, I just go to sleep. Like, I don't need this. I thought it was kind of like because we're men and we're babies in general, so we're like it's like a man baby thing. But maybe, but maybe it might. Is there any sort of show that is like from your childhood that you're not really
Hmm.
engaged in that is maybe more of a like a warm blanket or like a warm glass of milk as opposed to stimulating?
So one thing that I've found is sometimes it's can be hit or miss, but like subtitled show or like an old period piece, those types of things tend to be a little more like monotonous, and that can help me. But like I don't think I could fall asleep to it. Do you mean pre-bed fall to sleep, or do you mean like watching and then you lull off
Watching and then lull off, like throw the
during?
TV timer on
Oh.
and just like you fall asleep, then the TV shuts off, and then you're kind of
Mm,
whisked away into dreamland.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I love that.
nothing that you grew up watching or.
One channel growing up, channel 13 KCPQ, which was Fox, which is, whatever nowadays. But anyway, and so we would watch TV, and then my mom would be like, "You're watching too much TV," and she'd put our TV in the garage. My brother was actually just talking about this last night, and we're in Washington, but in the winter, we would sneak into the garage, find an outlet, and we'd watch TV in the garage, freezing cold. And what we were watching was like infomercials and real estate, call this number. So, I mean, maybe if I put that on.
It's possible. Um, I know there's also, meditations, which
Yeah.
feel like, I don't know, I've got to work on that because I feel like it can kind of have the opposite effect at times where you're like, oh, well, now I've got this headspace to really let my mind kind of dig into this nonsense that's sort of driving me nuts. Um, but maybe, do you think you have a day ahead where you can kind of like think during the day and then sleep at night, or it's Monday and you've got to get back to it?
No, I mean, I think a big part of it's like routine and like getting into this new summer routine. But I also think it's like saying no to more for me. It's like boundaries a little bit. And right now, because I've had such like exciting people in town and so many fun things, I'm pushing myself. And then, it's like it's coming to bite me a bit at night.
Right. Well, good luck. Say no. I think saying no is, a topic in itself because there's a little bit of you don't want to disappoint others, you don't want to disappoint yourself, but knowing your own limits, identifying them. I've been coming across a little bit of the name it, tame it in conversations with people. And I think this is kind of an extension of that, right? Where you're just like, you're identifying your limits and then watching you spit that piece of ice back in your cup was lovely.
No one made
Uh,
you back. No one made you look.
one made me look at you spit your ball of ice. um, well, I think, to stay on topic about, saying no and disappointment, I did want to talk a little bit, or we wanted to talk a little bit today about disappointment and managing disappointment because I think for both of us in our own ways have experienced some disappointment in the last couple weeks of things not working out as we had hoped. And, you mentioned in some emails when we were back and forth that you were feeling gutted by some recent disappointment. And I just thought that it would be interesting to sort of explore and analyze that feeling and like the stuff that comes out as a result of feeling disappointed in a situation.
Yeah, and I mean, I will be honest that that definitely played a role in my um, inability to sleep. I read
I
that,
figured,
yeah, I read that email at like 8 p.m. on Friday, didn't sleep Friday night, had to cancel my plans, which I literally had done the week before as well, which it's my own fault. But so that's one boundary, is like, why did I even read my email? But the thing that was challenging is I'm just someone that if you say like, yeah, I'll do that, I believe you. And then if someone changes their mind, and it's like, especially someone that, I feel like I've been really upfront with, there's some kind of history, either if it's an organization or an individual, where I've showed up for them. And that was kind of this situation where, not only had it been like a yes, but also it had been a long time where my expectation was that they were going to kind of help me out in a certain way. And then they just said, no, we've thought about it, and no. So I was just really confused. That was also a part of it. Like, what did I miss? Am I like fool for not sort of seeing something here? Am I messing up? But at the end of it, it was just like, it just felt like, yeah, a gut punch. I just felt like empty. I felt like sick. It was, yeah, not good.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, it just sucks, you know? It sucks for so many reasons. I don't think it's unfair for you to expect, maybe isn't the right word, but I can't think of another one, but expect that like people to show up, maybe not equally, but at least give you the like respect and grace that you're giving them. And I think sort of managing expectations and disappointment is just like a constant struggle for anybody, let alone like us who are, have this added component of a traumatic brain injury where there's this black and white thinking and just like showing up for people in a way that's authentic, that because we don't really have any, like those layers have been peeled off by this brain injury, and so
Mm.
there's some filters that are maybe missing.
Yeah.
And so, my sympathy or empathy for you was a little bit of like, get you. I could understand if you got this email and you wanted to like go Hulk smash on everything and just like, you know, break something or just be like, what the fuck, or sorry, what the F you in the A, F you in the effing A, and so on. Um, and then there's the whole like, how do you not obsess about it? You're like,
Well, and you said, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, can you speak more to that?
Well, I just was going to bring up a kind of you saying something. I don't know if you said like, that you'd been skinned, or I don't know, some word, but it made me think of my therapist told me a long time ago, like, you are a person who's walking around without skin. So like when anything happens, conflict on TV or like something like this, it just like goes into me in such an intense way. And it's just so magnified. And also, I try to rationalize that other people that don't have a head injury would probably feel hurt and surprised and not bamboozled, but like, a little bit of a bait and switch which is like then a bad experience to walk away and be like, ooh, like, wow, what is that saying then about me? That I just believe people that I shouldn't be believing, or, whatever. And I'm trying not to go down that loop. But I think it's just, yeah, a lot of what you said, where it's just, it's heightened.
Yeah, like instead of it being like a level 7 disappointment, it's like a level 10.
And the
Um,
truth is, like, it's probably not super personal. It feels so incredibly personal.
yeah. Well, I wonder too, just um, kind of thinking about some of my own interactions with people via like text message or email. And it's just so passive of a way to communicate that, would you feel comfortable calling this person on the phone to get a better understanding and explanation and maybe even offer your perspective a little more clearly? Because I feel like an email is just a little bit chicken, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know where you stand on sort of a kind of maybe not confrontational, but like the interpersonal step of just even a phone conversation, let alone, having a one-on-one face-to-face meeting with
Yeah.
them. Or maybe it's somewhere in between and it's a Zoom call or something like that. Or maybe you're just done with them and you want nothing else to do with them, which is kind of how I feel about the disappointments that I've experienced, where I'm like a
Yeah.
little bit, I'm sort of leaning on my own self confidence and ability and less interested in why they rejected me. Um, uh,
Only thing for me is like, I think a lot in, we can talk about this some other episode because it's too big to probably get into right now, but like, one way people call it is like brain dollars, or like units of energy that I have to expend. And the amount of energy asking for that meeting, having that meeting, and the aftermath of that meeting would take is way, way too high of an expenditure
yeah,
of my energy and my emotion. I can't. I've already given so much to this situation. So I totally appreciate what you're saying, but for me, it actually, this is like kind of on this topic, but years ago, I got a gig doing a book on tape for a random house. And I was like so excited. It turned out that like the day before the wedding, what the day before the recording, I had gone to my cousin's wedding in Oregon. And I was actually in the wedding, and it was kind of a rip roaring time. And so come back to Los Angeles, and their offices maybe were far away from Santa Monica, maybe more like Burbank. Something, it took me a while to drive there, which is an expenditure. And I started recording the book on tape, and I was messing up and messing up. And the guy basically came up to me, the person, the head guy, the head honcho, and he was like, look, I have two daughters, and I read your he'd seen something on the internet that said I'd been in a big car accident and broke my head and all this. And he's like, I can't work with you. It's taking way too much of my time. If you want to come back in like a week and give it a shot. And so I went home and I like practiced and practiced, because I was so disappointed in myself that if I would lose that, and I knew it was on me. And so I just like focused so hard and I practiced and whatever. And I went back and I did it. And now you can get that book on tape online. It's called The Trouble with Me, Amelia. You can get the recording and hear my gorgeous voice. But the point is that, like, I would much rather spend my time getting other people to help me out with my podcast and get other people excited about my podcast than focus on these people that basically said, no, we're not helping you with your podcast. At
right.
the end of the day, I want to put my energy into good stuff, and, people that believe in me or that potentially might.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great call. I guess my reaction to that is, and again, these are all, I feel like, specific to the brain injured, but also just people in general. And it's like, how do you minimize that time spent on that negative reaction, or like, mitigating your response so that you can get on to the, okay, time to move on. Let's go find somebody who is interested.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think the
and
disappointment and the sort of pain point that might be super magnified for one that has a brain injury when you're disappointed by someone or something, it's like part of me tries to be gentle with myself and say, like, I guess I can't get over it as quickly as other people, and I'm not going to hate myself for it.
that's a great call.
And also
Yeah.
sometimes talking to people that don't have head injuries. Like I told my sister about it and she was just like, hey, want me to write you up a marketing plan? Want me to help you brainstorm ideas? I talked to a different cousin who's super smart and like, their brains don't look at things like as life and death and they normalize it a little bit. And I push back against that. But at the end of the day, probably good to hear that side of a atypical brain, a neurotypical brain's response.
Yeah, neurotypical. God, that phrase I just can't remember. Trying to relay it to somebody. You call them what?
I think I
Normal?
called it atypical. I don't know what atypical even means.
Uh, all right. Well, thank you for sharing. I think, um, yeah, to recap a little bit, being kind to yourself when you experience this kind of disappointment, and then leaning on your support system and the people that have your back, even if you don't want to hear what they have to say. I think that's super important, because it can kind of jar that kind of fatalistic thought process that stems from experiencing disappointment. So, thank you for sharing those tips, Maria. Should we try to do this call here?
Yeah,
Um,
I love that
I'm
idea.
concerned that it won't be audible because
You
it's
do
on my
that every
phone.
time. Every time
I
it's
know.
good.
I don't know though. I think it's like so.
Can you put it on speaker?
I can't. That's what's so weird.
Okay,
I'm
let
just
me
gonna read her call.
here. No, I let me see if I can get it going.
Okay.
Do now. You tell us
So
about. Go ahead. You're gonna
no, please.
talk. I was just gonna say, why don't you tell us just a quick blip about when you felt um, disappointed?
Quick blip about when I felt disappointed. I think my sort of default base instinct is somewhat of a mean girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think my tendency is to kind of low blow attack
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
um, disappointment provider, if you
Yep.
will.
Yeah.
And, a little bit of that is to like sort of make, obviously to make myself feel better and maybe make myself laugh about the situation. I
Yeah.
don't know that it really serves me in the long run, even just to go down that thought process, because I just think it's kind of a negative frame of mind. And while I think I can come up with some pretty funny burns, it's sort of the first step of like a much deeper, much darker negativity. And so I think my challenge is really about highlighting the positive and not magnifying the negative,
Yeah. I
which
mean, it
is super difficult for me.
is. And I think also there's an element of it that's like fight or flight. And you are a fight person mentally, maybe you get to that place where that's kind of your self preserving. And so, yeah, it might kind of mask some of the deeper feelings that it sounds like you're expressing might be there and feel kind of dark. I have our call.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing
Oh,
that, Zach.
great. Yeah.
Hi, my name's Sarah, and I was just calling to see if you had any advice for people with TBI who are dating, either for people with TBI or potential partners who maybe are, seeking to date someone who they learn has a traumatic brain injury. So just curious if you have any advice. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, it's a broad question, but I think very useful. So both
Yeah.
if you are the person with a brain injury dating, a bit of advice, and then if you're on the flip side, if you're someone and you find out that your partner has or the person you're dating has a brain injury. Any first, I mean, you were married when you had your brain injury, or dating, right?
We were dating, and I was it was a little bit of a acceleration of a relationship because I spent, I think, a week at my now wife's house, and she was, monitoring me. Uh,
Mm,
and, she took me to the ER after my
wow.
accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, was just kind of keeping track of me. And, it's interesting. I almost feel like maybe we should just have our partners come on and respond to the
Mm.
component of like dating someone who has a brain injury. Uh,
I mean, I think it's there's someone that has had a recent brain injury, right? And dating them. So like if you were with someone who just had a concussion or just had a traumatic brain injury, that person is like you're describing, Zach, going to have a lot of needs. If it's someone that maybe has been in recovery for a number of years, I think that person is going to, as a brain injury, the way they might show up in a relationship may be, I would probably just focus on being really clear about like times when you're meeting and just be mindful that maybe like a long extended date might be a lot for a person. So trying to have something more minimized, even like, maybe going for a walk that's like in a public place, as to not have so much like sound and lighting issues that could be difficult for someone with a brain injury. Or, just thinking of a place that would be
yeah,
sensory sort of,
yeah. This is just sort of making me think about dating before my brain injury and before my wife, and kind of the extended job interview component of dating.
yeah,
Um, and especially modern dating, which is so much on the internet, and it's like a combination of online shopping and really, trying to figure out what you want. And I think that's a bigger component of this whole dating thing for anybody with or without a brain injury is like, what do you want? Do you want just somebody to like go to the movies with? Do you want somebody to really connect with? Are you looking for a booty call? What
yeah.
what do you want? Are you just lonely? I mean, I think I felt all of those things when I was dating and not really in a place to define that question, which I think is also okay. But in terms of having a brain injury, I think ideally you're kind of more in tune with who you are and what your needs are, whether it's sleep or food or exercise. And then how do you bring another person into your orbit is, sorry,
Yeah.
what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think it's a good idea, like Zach is kind of saying, to maybe write down like a list of what you want and then a separate list of if there's certain things that are, you know, as Patty Strangler would say, non-negotiables, or like your top three things. So like a non-negotiable might be that they have a job, that they must have a job if they're going to date you, or they might be that they have friends outside of you, or, you know, some just basic things that that you know would make you feel more at ease. And then sort of the list of things that you'd really like, that's a separate thing. Or like Zach said, if it's you're looking for just someone more friendship, or if you want like to date for marriage or something. But I also think being mindful of like if you are doing online dating, Zach was saying that's such a huge thing right now, boundaried internally. So having some like I check my dating apps at 10 a.m. and I check my dating apps at 6 p.m. But not I'm on there every time I go to the bathroom, or I'm on there every time I'm on the bus. And it's just like a constant thing, because in a way, these aren't real people yet. They're just people online. And so you want to not get
I'd
in.
say they're baseball cards.
Yeah, right. And so you don't want to get too obsessive, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Or like, yeah.
Well, I think one of the reasons we wanted to talk about disappointment today in relation to our call from
Yeah.
Sarah, who, thank you,
Yeah.
Sarah, for listening, is
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hard not to personalize the disappointment when you're dating.
Sure.
And like, you know, you could really like someone and they don't like you back. And it's, human to be disappointed, but what are the tools for managing that disappointment? And I think that's a really good call of limiting your frequency day to day of when you even look at your dating app. Or, one thing that I've done for myself is like just turn off notifications. I think there's
Mhm.
very much that Pavlovian effect with a phone where every time it dings, you like have a response. And if you minimize those responses, then you're minimizing your own ups and downs as a
Yeah.
result, ideally.
And I'm really encouraging clients I have, even those with brain injury, if it's manageable for them, to go to like speed dating or go to clubs. There's a club in Seattle called Tribe, and it's like a women's group. So meeting other people that are in person, but maybe might lead to meeting their friends that may be, you know, whomever you're dating, or what population you're dating in. But thinking about trying to get to some real life situations if that's possible, because I think that meeting and just practicing, even being around new people, whether that's of the same sex or the opposite sex, or both, you know, whatever it is that you're looking for, in person though can be, you know, good. Crickets, Zach, are you
Yeah.
there?
No, yeah,
Oh,
I'm just listening. I'm here, I'm here.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm just sort of thinking about like our own relationship and all of my relationships. They're just formed by being together in a physical space. And, as we sit here and utilize technology to do this process of this podcast, I'm grateful that we're able to do it this way, and all of the benefits of technology. But I think I am sort of leaning towards the physical connection that you can obtain by just being in a space with someone. And so to circle it back to the dating thing is, like you said, going for a walk, maybe getting coffee, something that's kind of an innocuous meeting opportunity with somebody so you can really apply all of your senses, like, as far as, like making eye contact. How does this person make you feel? Like, do they smell weird? I don't know. Do they smell great? Like, are you attracted to them on multiple levels and three-dimensionally as opposed to two-dimensionally on a screen?
Yeah, and
I
I
get
want to
like
recognize.
getting to that point.
Yeah, I also was just thinking about
Just,
early days of my recovery. Really, like the first 5 months, I wasn't driving, I wasn't going anywhere. And so, in a sense, I don't know if this exists, but if you were to be doing online dating of some kind, maybe asking someone to meet on a Zoom or meet on a FaceTime call, I think that's super useful. And with traumatic brain injury, there is a lot of physical challenges that can go with your brain injury, and for some that sticks with you forever. And I know a lot of people in my brain injury community that really are do wonderful at managing their body as it is post injury. But if you're in the earlier days of your brain injury and trying to either figure out how to be in your new body or how to be in this recovery part of traumatic brain injury and the impacts on your body, you know, finding those facets that might be two dimensional, I think is also okay. And so, not to limit that. And I have some clients that do like Dungeons and Dragons, things like that, with different Discord communities online, but they really have great friendships that might turn into something. I know clubs, my grandma used to always say, like, join a club, and I wish I would have done that. And then just, this is one last thing. I don't know, Zach, have you seen Love on the Spectrum?
no, but I just heard about it the other day.
It's so
Sounds
good.
pretty
And
awesome.
when I was watching it, I really thought, like, I wish there was a show like this for brain injured people, because I could relate in some ways to the challenges that I saw some of the people in the Love on the Spectrum cast kind of dealing with. And it made me be like, there's something so nice about meeting someone too, and either going into it knowing they are having similar difficulties that you might be, or that, you know, they understand your brain injury. Because then I think that's the other element. If you go out and meet someone from a dating app, when and if I tell them I have a brain injury,
Yeah. What, like, you're asking, when do you tell them? Or
yeah, I'm just curious, like, what your thoughts are.
I don't know. I mean, my brain just started to go towards the like more suspicious of, what if someone tries to take advantage of me because they know I have a brain injury, and how do I protect against that? Or, the flip side of like, how do I let myself be vulnerable with the potential of being taken advantage of?
Yeah,
So I didn't really answer your question at all, so I
I think it's
apologize.
good. I think that's
But
a useful instinct that I think a lot of people would have. And I think it goes back to a little bit of what we talked about when we were describing how do you let someone know about your brain injury. These are brand new people. And so I think there's a lot of care that we ask, or we would like people to have when we share that we have a brain injury. And sometimes people aren't caring, or they can't be because they don't get it. So for me, it has been more useful to understand, what do I need, and ask for that to be taken care of. I'm excited to meet you, Zach, but I need for our first date to be somewhere that's not bright, because I'm super sensitive to bright lights and loud sounds. Would you be cool meeting for a walk? And then kind of getting to know someone and deciding, how do I feel? Is it safe to share with them?
yeah, no, totally. Um,
I feel like this is a bigger topic than we can hit.
right. Yeah, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. But again, we want to thank Sarah for calling in because it is a fascinating subject to discuss. Wouldn't you agree, Maria?
Love it. And I will definitely link our phone number below. We would love for more people to reach out and let us know what questions or topics we can be covering here.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Yeah. So, thank you, Maria, for your time as always.
Thank you, Zachary.
We're excited to be sharing these conversations with you. We're going to be covering a new topic related to TBIs each week, going over listener submitted calls from real life situations. We'll be releasing episodes every Tuesday if we can figure it out. So please subscribe to make sure you don't miss any of these fun but important conversations. And, if anyone has any tips for people with brain injuries to function technologically, please, we are all ears. And just a reminder that this content in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, not professional advice. And we, the hosts, are not liable for how our wonderful listeners use this information. If you need more support, please contact a therapist or your medical provider. If you are having suicidal thoughts, please text 988 for support. I hope you have a restful day and get to sleep tonight, because it's the best when you get a good night's sleep, and the worst when you don't. So I'm hoping that this episode today, Maria, was therapeutic in a way of allowing you to relieve some of the anxiety of recent disappointments. And I hope your children
What do you say?
give you some grace today. I don't know.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
your kids, but I get the best of them when we see each other. So
Yeah. Well, and I hope you have a very peaceful day as well. And thank you to our listeners. It's so great to know that there are other people who understand what we're going through, and that you're just on the other end of this mic call.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Take good care.
You too. Bye.